Should recycling be mandatory? For people living in Miami Beach, Florida, it will be starting a year from now. The city council just passed an ordinance to fine people who don't recycle. The ticket is $350 for a first offense. It jumps to $500 for a second violation and a whopping $1,000 for the third strike. Okay, making things a little weirder here. Miami Beach says it doesn't have the money to enforce the law, so it won't go into effect. But similar laws are in effect in other parts of the country, so we want to know what you think. Should there be fines for people who don't recycle? We have Dave Ramsey here as our guest today. Do you recycle?
Where I live, they don't have that as an option, actually, believe it or not.
Really?
You don't get the extra, there's no recycle
There's
pickup.
no blue recycle
Nope, there's no blue
can
recycle can for me. As a matter of fact, I live in Maricopa County, so you have to pay for private trash pickup.
Okay.
So
well,
I recycle when I can, but...
That's good, but what do you think about recycling in general, and should it be mandatory?
No, it shouldn't be. But if they provide the can, if they provide the blue can and they provide everything you need to do it, then that's great. Then you should use it, absolutely. Should it be mandatory? I think that's a little bit too big brother. And there's a lot of question about how effective recycling is. I've read reports that it actually costs more money and more resources to recycle the majority of those of what needs to be recycled than it does save in resources. So it doesn't make sense sometimes.
Well, yeah, critics say, well, you know, many people aren't really educated on what exactly you can recycle and how the best way to go about doing it.
Right.
You know, are you going to rinse out the can before you put it in there, or are you just going to put the empty milk carton with the soiled milk that's left at the bottom? Stuff like that.
Right, and I know that even when it comes to paper, there's like you can't do anything that's puffy, like the mailing envelopes and all that. You can't put those in there, and you can't put certain kinds of other envelopes in there. So it's very tricky on what you can put in and what you can't put in. I know that some cities actually, if you recycle incorrectly, will let you know that you've done so, because they have to have someone sort it out. So I'm not sure that it's effective. I mean, I don't know what recycling does. Recycling metal works. Recycling plastic, I don't know.
All right, well, the jury's out on that, but many of you say we really need to get on board. We're behind other nations. And Linda Vashek says we have become a society of convenience and waste. And if we don't do what is needed, recycling, then we will all be living on top of a giant landfill. Phyllis Cassidy, though, says too much government control. Give it a break. Larry Singleton says, as a person who recycles 90% of what I dispose of, I must say, excellent idea. It's not hard, people, at all. And then Michael Herman says, a bad idea for Arizona, since we're only currently able to recycle about half of the recyclables that are collected. I think that has a lot to do with people just not being educated on what exactly you can and cannot recycle.